Mark Cuban.
I've always been about what's new, what's next, and how am I getting there first.
From a kid who started out selling garbage bags door to door.
I don't know what it was. I was always healthily afraid. My dad used to always say, you don't live in the world you were born into. But there's something inside of you that makes you unique. You just have to find it.
Mark has become one of the richest men alive.
He awakens people through action. He awakens people through leading by example.
I'm as competitive as anybody you've ever met, and business is the ultimate sport.
He's using his platform to fight for what's right.
When I was growing up, it was always very, very clear to us that you treated everybody the same.
And he's also stirred controversy.
If I see a black kid in a hoodie and it's late at night, I'm walking to the other side of the street.
He didn't say, on a dark street, I'm scared of people with hoodies following me. In that case, we probably all are. It's black people in hoodies that trouble him.
And if on that side of the street, there's a white guy, bald head, tattoos everywhere, I'm walking back to the other side of the street.
I think he was trying to educate people, and he just said it the wrong way.
For the blue-collar billionaire, Mark's had to learn some of life's most valuable lessons the hard way.
All you can do is admit that you were wrong, which I was. There's a long list of things I learned.
The most extraordinary lives follow undefined paths. To find your voice, you may need to journey into the unknown. I'm Carlos Watson, editor of OZY, and these are Defining Moments.
Mark.
What up, Carlos?
Hey, man, thanks for
Good to
having
see
me
you, man.
again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You ready for All-Star Weekend?
I don't know. It is cold.
It is cold in Chicago.
Oh.
I thought you were from Pittsburgh, though. I thought you had good blood.
And you know the one reason I left.
Right.
Because of this.
Right.
Oh, my goodness. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Squirrel Hill area of town. We had a one-bedroom where my brother Brian and I and my parents lived. My grandparents came over from Ukraine and Russia in the early 1900s, and it was Chubaninsky. I had a great uncle, Joseph, who went to fight the communists in 1938 and never came back, but he named himself Joseph Cuban, and that's what changed it to Cuban.
Was mom an entrepreneur? Was dad an entrepreneur?
No. My dad did upholstery and cars, so like if you had a rip in this, you'd take it to my dad and he'd sew it up. My dad busted his ass, worked 6 days a week, straight blue collar. My mom just did odd jobs, right? Selling fruit baskets, selling whatever she could hustle. But it was never like we're an entrepreneurial family. It was more like my dad would take me to his work and have me sweep the floors for $5 a day. And what he always told me, I want you to see this because I don't want you to ever have to do it. Because he would come home from work just exhausted, right. Going, 10, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, and just sleeping the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But they were still worried about me. Like, I remember when I was a junior in high school, I think, my mom got me a job trying to learn how to lay carpet because they wanted me to have a trade, just in case all this business stuff that, and I would try to learn stuff. Yeah. And my dad's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, none. And so I had to figure it all out on my own.
But where do you think it came from then?
I don't know. It's a good question. They say some entrepreneurs are just born, and maybe that was it. My dad would play poker with his buddies, and like every other kid, I wanted a new pair of sneakers. And it was like, those tennis shoes you have right now, they work, right? When you have a job, you can buy whatever you want, but as long as you're in this house, those shoes look like they work. And I'm like, Dad, I'm 12 years old. I can get a job. And his buddy was like, wait, I can get you a job. I've got all these boxes of garbage bags that you can sell. I'm like, okay, I would go, hi, my name is Mark. I live down the street. Do you use garbage bags? And I sold him a box of 100 for $6. They cost me $3. And I just started going door to door. I probably had the world's first and only garbage bag route and made enough money to buy my shoes and, learn how to sell.
So were you always expected to go to college?
It was always, you're going to college, because my dad didn't want me to do the backbreaking work that he was doing. All my rewards as a kid were for reading. You read 100 pages, here's $1. The one thing my parents would go out of their way for was, in terms of presents, was books. You want a book, my dad will save up however much money he needs to save up to get me that book.
Mark's early years had been shaped by the love and support of his parents, but he wasn't immune to the undercurrent of racism and injustice that permeated Pittsburgh in the early 70s.
When I was growing up, the Pittsburgh Pirates were the first team to put up an all non-white lineup. And I remember my friends listening to the game and having his father just end this, end that, hate the motherfucker, end them, and da-da-da-da-da. It wasn't a bad neighborhood, but there were issues. I remember I was getting a drink at a water fountain in school, and these two kids just walk up to me. One holds me up, the other just punches me in the stomach and called me a kike and started fighting with me. And I remember having to go to my dad and ask him what was a kike, you know, and having to explain that's just derogatory slang for someone who's Jewish. I had my share of, why am I in this fight? I don't understand why I'm fighting. My dad told me a story. We lost part of our family in the Holocaust. His dad tried to open up a grocery store and it got shut down because we were Jewish. So when I was growing up, it was always very, very, very clear to us that you treated everybody the same. And as it turns out, my uncle was a superintendent of a school district in Washington, D.C. in the 60s. During that very turbulent time, he wrote a book called The Negro in America, which was the very first academic textbook to really integrate the African-American experience into the American history story. So there was definitely a background of inclusion.
Mark Cuban would draw on these early lessons in inclusion throughout his extraordinary career.
Diversity is not just a word, and it's not just a body count. It's about recognizing the skill set that somebody different than you brings to the table.
For Mark Cuban, Shark Tank is a way of paying it forward to the next generation of entrepreneurs.
There's something inside of you that makes you unique. You just have to find it. And that's what I want to encourage them to do.
Right. One of those whom Mark has inspired is fellow mogul and business partner Ryan Williams.
Mark awakens entrepreneurs and people, and I can speak from personal experience, through action. You know, at the end of the day, he knows that it's incredible to have dreams and aspirations. The only way to bring those to reality is to act and to lead. And Shark Tank's a great testament to that.
To do this and get it out, you need another $100,000.
Right.
How are you going to get the other 100?
I know I can get the other 100,000. I know I can.
I'll give you $100,000 for 25%, contingent that you raise the other 100.
Yeah.
Done.
So there's an inspiration, I'm sure it comes from a place of empathy and understanding of how challenging and hard it is to navigate so much of our world and to build successful businesses as entrepreneurs, helping elevate that next level of business leaders.
You know, it's okay to get it wrong.
Yeah.
It's okay to fail, particularly when you're young.
Mark's ability to learn from his failures has actually been one of his greatest keys to success.
I dropped out of high school and took classes at the University of Pittsburgh because I wanted to challenge myself. I think I'm smart. I didn't try in high school, but I get a do-over right by going to college.
Mark did well enough to get accepted to Indiana University.
Then when I got to Indiana, I was registering for my first semester. There's a graduate MBA class in statistics, and I'd never taken a statistics class. I'm like, I need to know this.
Right.
Like, if I can pass a graduate level statistics class when I'm 18 and basically a freshman at Indiana University, then this is all going to be easy. Because my goal was to do it back ass half, take all my hard classes first and not drink, and then party like a madman and take freshman classes my junior and senior years. It was great. I mean, I had this all planned out. And so they let me register for this graduate level statistics, and I got an A. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I can do this.
Graduate level as a freshman.
As a freshman, 18 years old, right?
Indiana University is also a place where basketball was, and still is, a religion. Mark was an avid sports fan and a better-than-average athlete.
I just wanted to play a contact sport. And so I went out for rugby and started playing and met some of my best all-time friends and played 4 years at Indiana. And if you know anything about rugby parties from back then, they're just outrageous. Us doing flamos where you fill your mouth with lighter fluid and, you know, blow it on a match. dumb shit we did when we were in college.
Having survived his years at Indiana, Mark graduated in 1981 with a bachelor's degree in business.
If I had met you then, were you like fully headed towards being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I was, I needed a job first, right?
In search of that job, Mark followed a group of his friends from Indiana to Dallas.
I've always been surprised that you were in Dallas.
Why?
I don't immediately think of Dallas as an entrepreneurial hub.
I didn't go to Dallas because it was entrepreneurial.
Right.
When I graduated from Indiana, I had 2 requirements.
Okay.
One, my car could make it there. And 2,
what kind of car were you
that was
rocking?
warm. I had a 1977 Fiat X19,
nice.
but it was like special.
Okay.
It had a hole in the floorboard.
Well, like a Yabba Dabba Doo car.
Yeah, Yabba Dabba Doo car. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And so it wasn't going to go that far. So I couldn't make it to LA. I couldn't make it to Florida. There was only so many places I can go. Yeah. And I had some buddies that lived in Dallas, and they're like, Cubes, you got to come down there. I'm like, Dallas, right? I never really thought about it. He's like, the weather's great, the economy's good, the women are beautiful. I'm like, I'm on my way. Stop right there. Stop right there. Right. I was living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment. I was just a way for them to reduce the rent.
Right.
And so I didn't have a bed. I didn't have a room. I had a pile, right? And I got a job in a software store. And that's what got me started. I would take the PCs back and I would stay up all night just teaching myself. I would take the manuals, like software manuals, and read them. RTFM, read the freaking manual. Very quickly, I learned that by putting in that extra time, I knew stuff that people who went to college for this stuff and had advanced degrees in it didn't know because they only knew what they were taught in school and they weren't doing the work to keep up. There's the people who wrote the software, and then there's everybody else, right? And so if I can out-hustle everybody else and know how to sell that software better than anybody, know how to make it work better than anybody, I can get paid. Ever since then, that's been my edge. Being able to just learn whatever new technology came out and figuring out how to apply it to all the different businesses that I've touched so that I can get an advantage and then being able to sell it.
Mark arrived in Dallas at the dawn of the PC revolution. He wanted to launch a company, but he knew he'd need help.
I'd say the defining moment was knowing I couldn't do it myself and having partners. So Martin Woodall was my partner in Micro Solutions. I'm not a details-oriented guy. I always needed somebody around me that was very detailed. Martin was the most anal human being I've ever met in my life. I mean, it had to be perfect. I would have the vision. I'd be ready, fire, aim. They were like, okay, slow your roll. We got to do this. We got to play by the rules here. Being self-aware and knowing what I'm good at and what I'm not good at and realizing it's okay to get help.
Together, they built Micro Solutions, providing computers, software, and training to businesses.
We had been in business just a short while. We had 4 employees maybe, having $84,000 in the bank. And we got a call from the bank. We've been cashing these checks through the drive-thru where the payee has been whited out. Our receptionist, she would white it out and write in her own name.
She was taking your money.
82 out of $84,000, gone. And I had a couple choices. I could quit, or I can go back to work. Went back to work.
After 7 years, Mark and his partner sold Micro Solutions to CompuServe for $6 million. That taste of success left Mark wanting more.
The internet hit, and it's like, okay, I have this connectivity background. I want to be able to use this to listen to Indiana basketball.
Sporting events, anywhere in the world by using the internet.
There's got to be a way to figure it out. And that was the start of the entire streaming industry.
Never before in the history of the world can you come in and listen to almost any team from anywhere in the world.
We connected to one of our 126 servers, and boom, it's available on AudioNet to the world.
Started off as AudioNet, turned into broadcast.com. Technology is my strength. Sales are my strength.
I'm the first to realize that luck plays a huge part in it. I happen to have a company, broadcast.com, that went public at the right time.
I guess the other thing is, like you see on Shark Tank, I can look at any business. Right. I don't care what it is. And in 10 seconds, I know all about the business. And so using that, connecting it with just loving to learn, connecting it with loving to know about new businesses, that helps me get down to the bottom of an issue really, really quickly.
Mark's vision built Broadcast.com, a company that would take the stock market by storm.
It was the IPO heard round the world, a stock that shot up 249% on its first day of trading last week.
I sold broadcast.com for $5.7 billion.
I hadn't heard about you before then. And all of a sudden you had sold a $5 billion company.
Yeah, 5.7,
Yeah. Once you are a billionaire, what motivates you?
I'm competitive. I mean, I'm as competitive as anybody you've ever met. And business is the ultimate sport.
By 1999, Mark Cuban had become a bona fide billionaire, and he was ready for his next challenge.
I've been into basketball as long as I can remember, but it never dawned on me to buy a team because it never dawned on me I'd have that much money.
And then how did it come about?
I was a Mavericks season ticket holder, and they were awful, but I didn't care. I just liked to go to the game.
Throughout the 90s, the Dallas Mavericks had been down on their luck, earning one of the worst win-loss records in the league.
It was the start of the 99-2000 season, and then one day, it dawned on me like, wait, I can afford this now. I can put my money where my mouth is.
But first, Mark would need to be approved by the NBA to become an owner.
They put me in front of this big room of all the owners, and they all grilled me. Because this is January of 2000, and it wasn't long after the Cowboys had won some Super Bowls. Are you going to be like that other owner in Dallas? And I'm like, yeah, you just won a couple Super Bowls a couple years ago. So I sure hope so.
Yeah,
and he's changing the game.
Yeah.
And if it means raising hell, I'm going to raise hell.
Yeah.
They weren't going to approve me at all. And then David pushed for me to get through.
Stern did.
Yep.
Why do you think he did?
Because I think he wanted some new blood. I think he wanted a different perspective. You know, I was the 41-year-old guy that didn't give a shit, right? I mean, I was
you
just...
must have been one of the youngest owners.
No, I was by far, yeah.
Well, there we go.
There we go.
Well, there's only one way. This is a business, but it's a business that I'm willing to commit as much money as it takes, whatever energy, funding, to make this team successful.
$285 million? Okay. Like, funny money. Let's go to work.
Wow.
Now that it's happened, it's time to go to work, and it's time to really focus on doing the things I need to do. And first is learning, getting fans into the arena, and getting people excited. And I think we're making significant progress there.
Mark brought with him his sense of hustle and love for the game. Under his new leadership, the morale and the scores began to improve. Within a few seasons, the Mavs became contenders for the NBA championship.
And have you enjoyed it as much as you thought you would?
When we win, it's awesome. We finished the season and went 15 straight years without a losing season.
Underneath lefty layup, banks it in, and that should do it for the Dallas Mavericks. And the celebration will begin. The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions, the first title in franchise history.
But losing games hurts far worse than I ever possibly imagined.
It really does. That's not bullshit rich guy speak.
That's not bullshit rich guy speak, honest to God.
Here's Carmelo, the strip and the dunk.
If we lost a game, I wouldn't talk to anybody for 2 days. I would be so pissed. When we lost in the 2006 finals, I didn't go outside. I didn't talk to anybody for a month and a half.
The Miami Heat, they've done it. They win their first championship in franchise history.
If I'm in a business situation, I can go in there and help close the deal. I can put my fingerprints on anything and hopefully make it better. I can't make a jump shot as much as I'd love to be out on the court, right? When that foul is called and I disagree with it, or that we miss a free throw at the end of the game, I'm helpless. And there's no worse feeling to me than being helpless.
Despite the losses, Mark Cuban had taken a losing team and turned it around. In his new role as team owner, Mark enjoyed being the focus of media attention, and he basked in the glow of controversy. Mark shook up tradition and the NBA with his unorthodox approach to ownership. He ditched the elite skybox to hang out courtside, closer to his players. But his position near the court also put him within earshot of the referees.
He's not shy about voicing his opinion. Whereas I think you've got a lot of other owners who are more circumspect. They won't tell you exactly how they're feeling, whereas Mark will tell you exactly what he's thinking.
Mark's courtside antics drew attention and criticism. At one game, he yelled at a referee, telling him he wasn't qualified to work at a Dairy Queen.
What's it called?
Dairy Queen responded by challenging the billionaire to scoop ice cream himself.
Dairy Queen, how can I help you?
Mark accepted that challenge, scoring big when it became a media bonanza. The NBA commissioner, however, didn't respond to Mark's antics so favorably. Instead, Mark racked up in excess of $3 million in fines, more than any other owner in history.
Jerry Buss taught me the most of all the other owners. He was like, Mark, they gave me a hard time for giving Magic Johnson a $25 million a year contract. I didn't care. I did what I thought was right. You come in here, just say what's on your mind, do what you know, and it'll work out. And he was right. They yelled at me and screamed at me and fined me, but they changed.
But the controversy didn't end there. An off-the-cuff comment on race evoked the killing of Trayvon Martin and landed him in the media crosshairs.
I know I'm prejudiced. I know I'm bigoted in a lot of different ways. You know, and I've said this before, if I see a black kid in a hoodie at night on the other side of the street, bouncing, you know, I'm probably on the same side of the street, I'm probably gonna walk to the other side of the street. If I see a white guy with a shaved head and lots of tattoos, I'm going back to the other side of the street.
Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban in the spotlight again.
The hoodie comment brings to mind Trayvon Martin, the unarmed black teenager killed by neighborhood watchmen.
Is the comment racist in how you evaluate it?
He didn't say, you know, on a dark street, I'm scared of people with hoodies following me. In that case, we probably all are. It's black people in hoodies that trouble him. That's a particular thing.
When he sees a certain people dressed a certain way, that he prejudges them.
He's
being honest about it. He's not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's right. But I think he was trying to educate people, and he just said it the wrong way.
Amid the controversy, Mark stood by his words, but he also recognized that he owed an apology.
You apologized for one portion of that, and that was to Trayvon Martin's family, correct?
I've met and spent time with his family, and when I said it, I hadn't considered that they might have to deal with all the media onslaught, and that's not fair to them.
I try to be self-aware and just become a better person and smarter from it, and you know, there's a long list of things I learned.
For all the controversy, Mark had another challenge on the horizon, this time within his own organization.
A hostile work environment for women.
When I read what happened here, I can't put together how the person I know and have talked to for a long time okayed a lot of this stuff.
You know,
A hostile work environment for women. In the story, former team president Terdima OZY was accused of inappropriate conduct during his 18-year tenure with the team.
What message do you now know that this sent the other women in the office?
Oh, it's horrible.
That you basically told them, hey, one of the guys in this office can hit you, and we will keep him still here coming to the office and sitting next to you.
You know, I wasn't involved. I was involved on the basketball side and had a CEO that I trusted, and he turned out to be a bad guy. And that was my mistake, but I learned a lot from it.
Have you now dramatically changed the workplace?
Oh yeah, I brought in somebody, like I said, I need the right partner.
Yeah.
And I had the wrong partner and brought in Cynthia Marshall, who's incredible. I've recognized that she's far better at these things than I am.
I'd like to apologize on behalf of the Dallas Mavericks organization to current and former employees.
I let her go and do her thing, and she's really, really good. She saved my ass.
My values matter, and so we've taken some action to show that we are about zero tolerance.
All you can do is admit that you were wrong, which I was, and do your best to learn from it.
Mark donated $10 million to domestic violence awareness groups.
I think more important than the money is the example we can set. The goal is for me to get out there and, teach others from my experiences.
I think Mark is just a really good guy. And I think Mark's always trying to do, if he can, the right thing. And I think that's what's been happening.
Black Lives Matter! And the experience opened his eyes to other problems in society.
They were taking a knee and they were being respectful. I'd be proud of them. I joined them because I think we've learned a lot since 2017. And this is really a unique point in time where we can grow as a society, we can grow as a country, and become far more aware of the challenges that minority communities go through and look to move this country forward when it comes to race relationships.
Drawing on the lessons of inclusion he learned as a child, Mark has dedicated his platform to supporting social justice.
What would you say if I had a room full of would-be young black entrepreneurs in front of you? What kind of advice would you give?
I tell them, one, you're starting at a disadvantage, right? Not everybody's going to accept you face value for who you are. You're probably going to have to start a little bit smaller, but that's to your advantage because they don't see you coming.
Something that I admired about Mark is he's been out front in many ways, talking about helping the underserved. It's something that's real, it's authentic, it's genuine, and it's something I think the world needs more of.
There's so many ways that young people of color can market to communities in particular that they know better than anybody that white middle-aged guys like me can't connect to. That's a huge opportunity.
On this Thursday night, anxiety mounts over the spread of COVID-19. From a major market meltdown to new travel bans.
When COVID-19 struck, the United States went into lockdown, impacting communities and families. Many businesses shut down, including the NBA.
Mark, we got the shot of you reacting on the phone and seeing it. First reaction and thought when you learned that the season's been suspended.
This is crazy. This can't be true. I mean, it's not within the realm of possibilities. It seemed more like out of a movie than reality.
As the nation struggled to cope with the pandemic, Mark moved into action.
When some of the things were coming up that we might not play games, and this was yesterday, I reached out to the folks at the arena and our folks at the Mavs to find out, what it would cost to financially support people who aren't going to be able to come to work. They get paid by the hour, and this was their source of income. We've already started the process of having a program in place, and I don't have any details to give, but it's certainly something that's important to me.
From his earliest days in Pittsburgh, Mark's challenged himself to treat anyone he meets like family.
Mark is someone who is action-oriented. He's not just about dreaming, he's about doing. What he did in supporting employees across the organization who were going to be out of work, he practices in many ways compassionate directness, which is something that I love.
It's really not about basketball or money. I mean, literally, if this thing is just exploding to the point where, all of a sudden players and others have had it, you think about your family, you want to really make sure you're doing this the right way, because now it's much more personal.
Mark's a leader who strives to be mindful that others have helped him get where he is today, and he's always eager to pay it forward.
Sources say Mark Cuban was able to reunite Delonte with his mother in Dallas on Monday. A bystander actually caught some footage of the two of them together.
Good job, man. Cuban wrote, "I can just confirm that I found him and helped him. The rest is up to Delonte and his family to tell."
I've helped people and they've helped me, and learning was the key to all of it. I try to instill that in my kids. You've got to learn how to figure it out because that's a skill. There's nothing you can't learn. That's everything.
What kind of dad are you?
I think I'm a good dad, I'm a fun dad.
You seem like you'd be a fun dad.
I'm a fun dad, right? Yeah. Okay. I mean, I like to do stupid stuff. I tell stupid stories, I tell both my girls who know math and science dominate the world.
Do you think all three will go into the business with you?
I think my oldest will do her own thing.
Okay.
Right? Okay. The middle one, she's not quite sure what she wants to. And the youngest, I think, could be on that path unless he does something bigger and better, which is what I want them to do. My dad used to always say, you don't live in the world you were born into. And the world that they're going to be living in is different than what you and I have grown up with. And it's going to have its own set of challenges. If they feel good about themselves and chasing, not necessarily their dreams, but whatever it is that makes them feel good about themselves, knowing they have to pay their own bills along the way, then I'm happy with it.
Hey, Mark, I'm so appreciative, man.
My pleasure, Carly.
So appreciate you.
Yeah, Carly, for sure, man.